Right, so we've got 3 episodes of Coronation Street to talk about this week. Before we even get going with what the storyline titles are, I thought it'd be worth discussing the new structure and how it kind of worked and what you expected from it and whether you thought it was okay, because we're stuck with this for a little while now.
I quite enjoyed. It's weird. It's like it feels more pacey now.
Yeah, there's less of it.
How? Yeah, there's less of it, but it feels more impactful. I don't know.
It didn't fit. I think because we were kind of ready for it, and I knew that it wouldn't be. It would feel a bit weird, and that it would feel like there's 2 days that are just count for one day. You know, it didn't take me by surprise, and actually, I enjoyed. I mean, the cliffhangers were particularly good.
This is Monday
and Friday's
we sort
episodes.
of had artificial cliffhangers built in because obviously normally Mondays we'll have 2 episodes and there'll be a cliffhanger between the 2 where you have half an hour break, then you get the resolution the same day. But this time we have Monday, then we have a break of a day, and then we had the resolution of the normal Monday cliffhanger on Wednesday.
And both of them were characters in mortal peril kind of cliffhangers as well. We had Monday, David getting the knife shoved in his face, and then just now we've had Yasmeen being trapped in the house,
blocked by evil Geoff.
From Geoff, and both of them is like, oh, how are they going to get out of that situation? I don't know whether it's always going to work in quite the same way.
Well, there were lots of things that these episodes had in their favour. Characters we enjoy, cliffhangers, direction by Matt Hilton, which is always good, and really, I think, interesting plot developments.
Yes,
from fan favourite characters.
I think
David
so. I mean,
Yasmeen.
the Yas lighting story definitely took the lion's share of the week. I mean, that's going to be a huge chunk of our discussion, and then everything else is just little bits. I suppose that's part of the problem. Like, if we get to stay the Stillwater Carry-On story, which we're going to do last, it's like, did very much happen there? Not really. There was only about 4 or 5 scenes throughout the whole week. Same with the Winter Blues story. Did not much happen? Not really, but I mean, you can't blame Coronation Street for it. It's just what we'll have to get used to. And I suppose there'll be some weeks when there isn't quite so much one story taking quite so much of the screen time.
This happens sometimes anyway, just on a normal week,
Yeah. One thing that I did notice on Wednesday, which was obviously originally the second half of what would have been the Monday's episode, I was finding it more difficult to remember what happened, because it had been 2 days, and often at the beginning of episodes they'll set up scenes. This is why they have all the scenes of the characters going to the cafe, having their breakfast or whatever, and they sort of say, oh, do you remember blah blah blah, and oh, so today we're doing la la la, and remember yesterday do. And whenever I see that, I go, yeah, I know, you don't need to tell us, but actually I missed it on Wednesday. I missed it because I was like watching it on Wednesday again. What happened on Monday again? What happened earlier in this? And yeah, maybe.
So it's your fault.
Maybe it is. Maybe I do need to be spoon-fed this, because when the spoon is taken away, I was left floundering a little bit. But so we'll do as I said, the Yas lighting story first. Then we'll do the David storyline. And it's not really shown in the loner this week, is it? Dangerous Dave.
Dangerous Dave. That'll do. I bet he'd love to be called that.
The separation, I thought we could call Emma's breakup from Seb.
I know you're trying to make it sound like separation, but It sounds more like aberration, which is what the storyline's turning out to be, in my opinion.
Oh dear. Then we'll have the Winter Blues and then the Stillwater Carry-On. Do you want me to do this, the Yas lighting synopsis, or do you want to do it? This is the big one. We never decide this before we record. We should probably decide who's going to do what before we start going.
Well, then we wouldn't have all those entertaining.
Go on, you do it. Can
Gemma. I do it?
Yes.
Yay!
What was Yasmeen up to this week?
Right, so we know that last week there was the proposal that they all go to. Well, everyone but Geoff goes to Spain to. What's his face's wedding? Zidane's wedding.
But Geoff's invited himself by the end
Jeff
of last
said he's
week,
going, and there's nothing anyone can really do about it because he's insisting. And so on Monday, he tells everybody that he's booked the last 5-star hotel in the area, so there's going to be no room for Alia anyway. Yasmeen says, oh, if the worst comes to the worst, we don't have to go. I don't remember why she was saying that.
She was just saying it because there's the fact that there's no room for Alia, and he's like, oh yeah, sorry, it's a shame, isn't it? Alia will know, she'll just have to find somewhere herself. And Yasmeen says, well, look, if Alia can't find anywhere to go, then we just won't go either.
Just like, you're the boss, Then he overhears Alia at speed dial discussing new suppliers with Yasmeen and butts in. Alia's sort of saying, I don't know if they'll be any good. And she already has a plan about what she's going to do about this. But so Geoff sticks his nose in and he starts telling her stuff that she already knows. And I think everyone can agree there's nothing more irritating than somebody telling you to do something that you've already decided that you're going to do. This is one of the things I hate.
Gemma, tell us what happens next.
No, I won't. Yasmeen just wants them to get on with each other, and it's not really. It doesn't seem like it can really work unless they just completely ignore each other. So they agree to let Alia organise this supplier thing. In the in the house, in Yasmeen's house, they have this really great scene where Geoff's standing by the stairway going upstairs, and Yasmeen is going back and forth between the kitchen and the dining area, and the camera's sort of following her, and Geoff sort of disappearing off camera, and as Yasmeen progresses back and forth, you see Geoff start to clutch his chest, and the next time you see, he's like, "Oh, I'm having a heart attack."
I like that. I could have done with a couple more swings, but it was the whole like, well, what's going on in the background? What's Geoff going to be doing the next time the camera swings past him? I did like that.
Reminded me of that famous video of the ninja cat, where the guy is holding his phone up and then ducks out the way, and the cat sort of moves forward in between each shot. I just liked how the action. I'm sure that's where
the main action was going on.
Was from.
I just like how the main action was going on in the background, and like as a viewer, I wonder how long it took everybody to notice that we're supposed to be looking at Geoff here and really not looking at Yasmeen.
Yeah, because that way we're seeing it from Yasmeen's point of view. But we did rewind that to watch it because it was very good. Really enjoyed that. Anyway, he's having a heart attack, but he's faking it clearly to try to make Yasmeen feel guilty about how much stress this wedding is causing him, and he just basically doesn't like not being the centre of attention and getting all of her attention.
Also, he hasn't actually booked this hotel, has he? So he's trying to find some way that they can get out of it. Yeah.
She phones an ambulance, so it backfires it somewhat, and then who arrives, Michael?
Paramedics.
They said, "Oh, you haven't had a heart attack, but we should take you in probably." Just says, "Oh no, there's no need for you to take me in." And he sort of starts distracting everybody by saying, I do the hospital radio. I can mention you on air if you like." And the paramedics are all like starstruck,
like
"Oh
magician's
my god,
trick,
amazing!"
Isn't it?
Yeah, misdirection.
Misdirection, exactly.
He says, "I'll promise I'll come in if something another bad thing happens. So yeah, just don't worry about it." So Sally, Tim, Alia and Ryan all hear about this and rush over to his aid. And Alia and Ryan seem very confused and a bit suspicious about why he's not going into hospital if he's so sick. Geoff is spinning lies to Yasmeen, to Tim, and Yasmeen's not really, she's feeling a bit awkward and uncomfortable about.
Yeah, he's telling Tim, "Look, this is what happened. I had a heart attack. I'll be fine." He's making sure that Tim is understands his version of the story.
Yes. So she then says that the trip's cancelled and Geoff's in no fit state to go to Spain. She's not going to leave him behind for this wedding. She goes over to Speedo to get a takeaway and tells Alia. And Alia says, well, Zidane's going to be devastated and we both know that Geoff is faking it. So she says that to Yasmeen.
Yeah. I was getting a bit confused at this point about does Zidane know they're coming or not, or
I don't think Zidane wants them to come.
It seemed like Zidane wants a nice quiet
drama free. He's not going to get that if this lot pitch up.
No.
He's like, I know you guys. Everybody that lives on that street is a maniac, so you can stay there, and I'm going to have my nice stress free drama free.
I don't even know whether Yasmeen has got in touch with Zidane at all still.
She actually spoken to him to be like, all right, darling, is it all right if I come? I'm so thrilled. What's your future wife like, for example? Does she have a name? No, I suppose she doesn't. On Wednesday, Alia investigates Geoff's story.
She's a bit boggling, doesn't she?
She finds out that there is literally only one 5-star luxury hotel in the area. And so she's on to him. Geoff then guilts Yasmeen later. She pops out without telling him where she's gone. And he's like, what if I had a relapse? And she's like, Sally was there. And he says, I'm sorry, I'm just worried. Thank you for, well, I don't know.
Yeah, he says, look, I know that you're my top priority. Thank you. he's making himself look like he's reliant on her when really it's the other way around.
Yes. So now we have Alia comes around to confront Geoff, and she accuses him of making the whole booking up because she has phoned the hotel, the only hotel that's 5 stars in the area, and they don't have any record of the booking. And then she drops this bombshell that we found out that she had done previously. Her and Yasmeen, the only ones that knew about this police report that she had asked for under Claire's law. He gets really mad. Also, that in this scene, it's just Geoff and Alia, because Yasmeen's gone out, so she's alone there with Geoff, and he suddenly loses his temper and backs her right up against the stairs and says, "You're going to regret it if you don't back off." Then Yasmeen walks in, and she kind of immediately is worried and very protective about Alia.
Get away from my granddaughter now!
She's not quite like that.
It was exactly. That was actually a clip from the show.
She is very worried, you can tell, and the fact that she's telling Geoff this is interesting, because she obviously is not going to let Geoff treat Alia the way that he treats Yasmeen herself.
Yeah, it's almost like that was the moment
that's the step too far.
The scales fall from her eyes,
and so Geoff's really frustrated that Alia's not backing down about this. He manages to win Yasmeen round, and she says, "I need to speak to Geoff in private." So Alia goes and says, I'll check back on you later. So when she does, Geoff continues harping on about how ill I am. Oh, blah, blah. You said you put me first. You said you trust me. Let's go see Dr. Gaddis if you don't believe I'm sick. Basically, offering her this proof that he knows she's not going to take him up on.
Yeah, he's just bluffing.
She backs off, says, "I'll talk to Alia." And he says, "I'll never lie to you, I promise." So Alia phones Yasmeen later and says, go through his emails and see what's going on. And Yasmeen says, "No, I'm fine. Everyone's fine. Don't worry about it." Meanwhile, Ryan's like, "Oh, I'm going to fight Geoff. I'm going to watch over Geoff while you go to the wedding," because he still thinks that Geoff might stay behind in Yasmeen. I don't know what the plan is at the moment. It seems to change every 5 minutes. So meanwhile, at the end of the episode, Geoff gets an email from Rachel, the escort from Fine Times, and she is offering to meet up with him on Thursday.
See, Geoff is being very, very sneaky. His meetings that he's arranged are on Thursdays and Saturdays, and we all know that that's when Corrie doesn't happen.
We're not able to follow what he's up to. Could be doing anything, Day Birdie. Yasmeen runs Geoff a bath. When he goes up to get in it, she starts to crack his laptop, and it's got one of these things which I don't think laptops have anymore, where you only have a certain number of attempts before you get locked out. Phones have it.
I think you can set it up.
Well,
if I was trying to stop somebody from getting into my laptop, which Geoff clearly is, then he would have that set up on there. I mean, sadly for Yasmeen, nobody's told her that if you're in a soap and you're trying to crack into somebody's computer,
it's not going to work the first two times anyway.
No, you will definitely get in on the third attempt. Yeah, Yasmeen doesn't know this. She gives up, sadly. Yeah,
Charlotte Bronte'd out and only did 2 attempts.
See, what I wanted to know, because there was a little message on the screen saying you've only got 1 attempt left, and I was half expecting the next time Geoff opens his computer to see that message and go, "Hang on a minute, have you been trying to crack into my computer there?" But when he opened up the computer today, that message was no longer there. So I don't know whether that was a continuity fail or whether the computer. And the
computer's like, "All right, okay, I'll give you another day." Yeah. Fair. Friday, Friday was April Fool's Day on Coronation Street, because this was supposed to be Wednesday's episode. So I presume there might be some April Fool's stuff on Monday, but I think it's past noon now. So
yes, it is.
So anyone who plays a prank is just an idiot. So obviously Gail's going to still be trying it.
Well, see, what I wanted, and I know we're skipping stories here, but the thing with Gail telling David that his car was on fire.
Let's save it for me, because it is really funny, and you get to talk about that because that will be your story. Right. On Friday, Tim does a funny April Fool along with Geoff. They're both in on it, and this is a very Metcalf prank.
I thought it was hilarious.
Geoff, Tim's doing the washing up and he pretends he's chopped his thumb off.
It actually did get me for a bit, because obviously it's Friday and I'm not thinking April Fool's things. I was thinking, oh, seriously? If they're having Tim chop his finger off? What? This is just ridiculous. And it's like, oh yeah, it was April Fool's. So Yeah, he
he's
did
there.
get me there.
He seemed very casual for somebody who chopped his thumb off.
I know, that's what made me realise.
And Geoff was like on the phone going, quickly, I'm going to call the ambulance. And I thought he's got to be in on it as well then, because otherwise this is going to escalate quite quickly.
Yeah.
When the paramedics turn up and go, we don't do April Fools, actually. You're in trouble. So there, Geoff and Tim are screaming about his thumb, and then you've got Yasmeen fishing through the sink to try and find this severed digit, while Sally goes through the freezer to get ice, and all she can find is chopped spinach. And Yasmeen's going, I think it's fallen down the sinkhole. Oh, I'll tell you what, isn't Yasmeen wonderful that her first thought was to plunge her hands into this perilous, murky depths to fish out somebody's thumb?
She'd do anything for Geoff.
Well,
it's not Geoff, it's Tim, isn't it?
It's Tim. Come on. Well, you know, Tim is Jeff's son.
Yeah.
So therefore...
And then Tim's like, oh, it is, I found it. He sticks his
on the end of
thumb.
his...
It was just hilarious.
It was silly.
And I kind of forgot that I hated Geoff for just a moment. And even Tim, like, that's the Tim that I like.
Yeah, but I think
Joker
it was...
Tim.
I think it was quite telling, because I felt as though, Tim saw this as like a harmless, funny prank that got them both, whereas Geoff was using it to manipulate and control people and to laugh at them for being gullible.
Definitely. But just, I loved that. That was funny.
So they start talking about the upcoming wedding that Tim and Sally are going to have.
Yeah, what's going on with old Charlie? I'm surprised that we haven't seen much of her recently.
Oh, yeah.
Sian's still, involved in doing a lot of Twittering and stuff. We're still following her, but I'm thinking, are we going to see her? We're going to have to see her again, aren't we? I was kind of hoping that she'd be a regular character, but I'm kind of thinking now that she's gonna pop in to cause a bit of trouble just before the wedding, and then she'll be off again. It should be a shame, really, because when they had her installed as one of the barmaids at the Rovers,
I really enjoyed her.
I was like, that could work.
She was great.
Yeah.
So they've got this venue booked for their upcoming wedding, and Tim is going another April Fool's joke where he tries to say that that was Tommy Orpington's wedding venue, and Sally's like, I don't think I want it anymore now. Yasmeen says, let's look at it on the laptop. So she watches as Geoff enters the password so she can remember it. And when he goes into the shower later, she gets on the laptop and immediately starts looking through his emails. And there's some very interesting emails there if you take the time to pause.
Oh, yeah. See, alongside the escort
10%
agency.
off trim up north, Freshco's offers.
Freshco's offers for March, which was a little bit late for sending those.
Their marketing department is not very good, Michael.
we do know that, actually, don't we?
That's
very,
in
very
world
true.
canon, that is.
There was something from Weatherfield County FC as well, wasn't there?
Tickets and venues and stuff. Really,
there's some speed dial stuff.
I love all that.
There's one or two that had typos as well, wasn't there?
Wow, you know what? I've seen the odd email in my inbox of typos, but nothing that comes out of my inbox is spelled incorrectly, of course.
So the first thing that she tries typing in is the name of the hotel, isn't it? And there's no
Palazzo.
results.
So this is the 5-star hotel that he's supposedly booked, so she knows that that's not true now. Then she finds one from Rachel, who's this escort, and so she searches her name and finds all the stuff from the agency, and there's a really cool effect where her breathing is just really loud, and
no, it didn't like it.
That's all you can hear, like she's just hearing that, and I was like, no, stop the effect, because you're not going to hear Geoff.
You said that, didn't you?
And then he turned up. I was right. Geoff pounces and says, "Are you spying on me?" And
they didn't need that. I didn't like that.
No, I thought it was good.
She looked at two emails, didn't she? One of them was saying, "Oh, we can meet up again. I'm free on Thursday and Saturday. Any of those that you can do."
I'm free on Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sundays.
and just had some slots open at 8:30 on other days of the week as well. And the other one was about how much he's paid her as well. Like, what was it?
£225.
No, £250 plus £5. No, it's £250 plus £5 booking fee.
I'm not paying. I refuse to pay booking fees or delivery charges for things that are over £200.
Okay.
So
no escorts for you then, my lady.
Can just get bent.
Yeah, so he sneaks up on her. Are you spying on me?
So he immediately has to think on his feet and tell her, do you not remember that time I told you that I was doing research for the radio station about modern dating? I think he takes this I don't want to disparage hospital DJs, but I don't think cutting-edge journalism takes place on Radio Lollipop.
No, I know. But
I don't think if I was in hospital, I'd want a hard-hitting expose on modern dating on the internet.
Not really.
No, I just want some classic tunes.
I certainly wouldn't be, paying £250 for the research. Where's this money coming from?
I know, is it from the kitty? Did he go to his boss's hospital?
If I put money in the collection tub when I'm leaving the hospital,
that's what it goes towards.
I don't want it to be going towards
heavy old men having dates with escorts to find out what modern dating's like.
I'm kind of hoping it's going to go to some medical equipment or a bit of therapy or.
And also, I don't want to say he's past it, but if I wanted advice or information about the modern dating world, I certainly wouldn't go to crusty old Geoff for
the Great Magnifico. Is that what his name is?
Yeah.
That was one of the things on the email as well, like Great Magnifico for a return or something. That's probably what he calls himself.
He probably makes Rachel call him that.
He does.
Well, she doesn't care.
I could imagine that.
£250.
I'm surprised he doesn't make Yasmeen call him that.
A matter of time. So he's saying it's research for the radio show. I told you about it. I don't understand why you don't trust me. You're spying on me. You sneakily looked on my and found the password. That's really underhanded. And she sort of grovels a little bit. But then she rallies a bit and says, this hotel, I looked for that and there was no record. And he keeps questioning her and saying, did you see everything? Did you look at every single email and every single message and all of my files? And that it wasn't just to find out whether it was to literally to discover
he needs to know
how
what
much
seen.
she knows and to gauge her level of knowledge about because God knows what else he's been up to.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, both of the emails that she did happen to see could...
Pretty incriminating.
They are, but they could just about fit with his side of the story. When do you want to meet up? Maybe not so much the money thing.
I know, but I think Yasmeen, it's do you want to believe him or not? And she does want to believe him.
She does, and she's grovelling, but I don't know whether she's acting now,
Interesting.
Because she knows that when she does that, then he shuts up.
She confronts him, says, there's no record of this. And he says, fine, I admit it, I lied. And he does this thing again where he kind of tries to make himself look weak and unconfident. And
I was wondering what he was going to say when he said, I lied.
Yeah, he's basically saying, I was trying to look like the big man. I wanted to be cool and bragging about this swanky hotel. And she's like, well, what on earth do you think was going to happen once we got to Spain? And he's like, I wasn't even thinking that far ahead.
I could really imagine him picturing himself there, on a sun lounger with his shirt unbuttoned, a big gold chain down his chest, a glass in his hand.
Yeah. So she says, I'm going to Spain alone and there's nothing you can do to stop me. His facial expressions, his face twists and contorts into really unguarded expressions, don't they? Like his mouth's hanging open, his eyes are squinting, his brow is furrowed. He just looks like a man who's been literally stunned with like a physical blow almost. He can't believe this is happening. He's desperately trying to get her to stop leaving. He's I'm alone and vulnerable, I'm ill, you can't leave me.
Yeah, my heart, what
if I die, you come home and I'm dead on the floor, that'll be your fault. And she's like, Tim and Sally are next door, go live with them if you
you're trying to get rid of me.
And then he says, no, once I've had some time apart, I'll come, this is my home. And he's like, what do you mean it's your home? I thought it was our home. All this twist, trying to twist. He at another point he tries to grab her bag off of her and stop her from going, and she sort of bends over it and says, no, Geoff, no, I'm going, you can't stop me, it's just for a few days, we need some time apart, I will be back. And she gets to the door and then he stops in front of her and won't let her leave. And that was the final scene of Friday's episode, which would have been
which was a very good cliffhanger. So do you think that it's difficult? I think that she might be onto him. I think that she's playing him now, and it felt to me like that was just an excuse to try and get out the house and escape him. Alia already put the idea into her head last week, didn't she, when she packed her bags for her? And I think Yasmeen's realised now, and she just wants to get out of the house.
But don't forget, they say it takes many attempts for a woman to leave an abusive partner.
Well, Yasmeen has tried to walk out before, hasn't she? And he's turned on the waterworks.
Well, yeah, but this is still not her escape, I don't think.
I don't know. I mean, I wonder whether there's going to be some kind of altercation between them.
Are they going to fight?
I wonder whether they're going to fight, whether he's going to... Because they've already done that before, didn't they? Remember when he bashed his head on the table when there was a little tussle?
Yeah, he kind of dramatically fell against it.
So it wouldn't surprise me if she's like, no, let me go, and then he falls down and hurts himself. Well, he could well have an actual heart attack.
He didn't have a heart attack, did he, earlier?
No, but, I mean, he's an old guy. He could have one.
Well, fake
or he could just bash his head again. I want him to fall back and stumble over and fall over the CD rack in that camera.
I want him to fall over.
Although, is the camera... See, if... Oh, right. So,
okay.
What if Yasmeen has a struggle with him, he falls back, hurts himself, accuses her of attacking him, and then the evidence that ends up saving Yasmeen is the recording from the webcam that he's got hidden, which we haven't seen for a long time. She or Alia or someone could find this camera at last, and that has been recording what actually happened. So whoever looks at it will see that he was trying to stop her.
Didn't he put the cameras up in the corners of the room as well?
No, I don't think. No, I think those are the ones that he took down.
It's unfortunate that there wasn't a handy folder on the desktop that Geoff had set up with like front room footage.
Yeah, that's how all the professionals do it.
Yes,
if we're to believe, who was it? It was thingy, wasn't it? What's his name at the bistro? Ray's lawyer has got all his handy folders there on his on his laptop. Yeah, right. That's going to be my theory.
So you think there will be? You think this is going to lead to an altercation?
Yeah.
I think it might happen some point down the road. I don't know if it's going to happen.
So do you think that she's going to escape, or do you think she's going to?
I think she's just going to go to cool off, and I think he's gaslighted her so well that she's going to be like, well, what did he really do wrong? I don't really know.
I don't know. I don't think so.
If you believe what he says, all he's done is lied about booking a hotel to show off and did some research about internet dating.
The fact that she was willing...
She's very suspicious.
She's very suspicious. The fact that she was willing to go on his laptop, she's trying to be sneaky, cracking his password and everything. I think that finally she's beginning to piece it together. And if she does relent and say, fine, okay, you win, I'll stay, I think the moment his back's turned or the moment he has his next bath or goes to bed or whatever, she'll be gone. Or she could escape out the back route or... something like this.
But what can she do, though?
Well, go to flipping Alia first.
I'll tell you what she can do. Go to the bloody police and say, tell me what this Claire's Law thing...
Yeah, because we
still don't know what that was.
We still don't know exactly what the police have found out about Geoff.
And the police did seem pretty keen to talk to her as well.
Yeah.
I don't think they very often send two plainclothes female police officers to talk to somebody based on a routine search.
Yeah. I just think that if she thinks seriously about the emails that she saw,
she'll realise that
it doesn't really match up with what he's saying, because there's adverts there, isn't there? There's a few sign ups. There's more emails there that look like he is a customer than you would get if you were just arranging a meeting. There was none of the subjects of it were saying
interview.
Yeah, exactly, and of course. She's not going to remember exactly everything that she saw because she was quickly flicking through it. But I think that she knows. I don't know whether... I'm trying to remember the sequence of things now. Is Alia still planning to go to Spain? Will Alia go to Spain on her own? Will Yasmeen try and escape and go to Alia's but find that she's not there and then Geoff comes and corners behind her? I don't know.
Well, it's really, again, really powerful, interesting stuff and... no clear direction now.
No.
And these cliffhangers, much more interesting. It reminds me of remember when Ian McLeod did Friday cliffhangers every week for 3
or 4 weeks or so.
And it was really good and dramatic. And it doesn't even matter if they're Doctor Who style ones where it's like, it's all resolved within 1 second of the next episode.
It keeps you...
what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? I'm dead excited to watch Monday's episode now. Because it just feels like Geoff is starting to lose control.
Oh, definitely. The mask
he's losing
slipped.
his grip.
That's what I was saying.
Panicking.
Like his face, literally the mask of the jovial, carefree, happy-go-lucky Geoff had gone, and it was just like the hanging jaw of a bewildered, frightened man.
He's having to think on his feet
to do anything to stop her from leaving.
Yeah, I mean, it does get a bit tiresome sometimes when the villain is always able to think of an excuse or something. Pat Phelan was the same, and you know how much we love Phelan, but whenever you thought that Eileen had cornered him or somebody, he'd always have some excuse, wouldn't he? He'd always have a reason
he would, though.
to make. But
people are like that.
For any eventuality,
yeah,
like
but
you
people
got
are like that.
coming up with
Thinking
a lie
on your feet, yeah.
But
and he is really good at adapting his story as he goes along and building on it. And he also, remember I told you one of the best ways to lie is to make yourself look stupid. Yeah. And he used that exact technique. He made himself look like an idiot, and nobody would believe that was a lie because it didn't make him look good at all. Like, he wanted to show off and be cool. No, he wanted to trick everybody.
I wonder if as a radio DJ, someone who's talking all the time, that makes you better at thinking on your feet.
I just think some people are better at lying.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether it ties in with it.
Well, that's probably why he it's not. Is it skill he learnt there, or was he attracted to the job because of his original talents?
I wonder whether there's anything
related. Liars.
I wonder whether it's what about podcasters?
Yes.
Everything I say is a lie.
Ooh. Paradox.
Sorry if I made any of your robots explode there.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Because the thing with the I was just going to say with his magicians, I was going to say that's a bit of a misdirection and sleight of hand, and I suppose if you're doing a trick on somebody, you've got to be able to react to however they
not only
react
that,
to you.
There's a power dynamic there, isn't there? He's enthralling people. He's literally tricking them.
Yeah,
as his job.
The time that he was nearly slipped up this week was with the hospital thing, and I wonder what did you think would happen if you were faking that heart attack? Did you not think that Yasmeen would try and phone the paramedic?
Not like it's America and he can say, I'm not paying for an ambulance. That's a convenient excuse.
I mean,
that here. It's free. Why don't you go? Just go to the hospital. They've got good shops.
I wonder whether this fake illness could
have a coffee.
Could lead to his downfall in a way. It seems to be that his plan's unravelling and he's desperately scrabbling at trying to stay above the water. But there could well be a boy who cried wolf kind of situation.
Well, if he ended up dying of a massive heart attack, I think that would be
poetic justice. Exactly.
I think that's it.
I think that's about it for that one. But yeah, I'm very excited to see what happens next. I don't care that this storyline's going. Absolutely
we can't say any more than we've already said about the fact that this is a storyline that deserves the length of time it's being given.
Yeah. I want to know more about what the police have got on Geoff.
I know.
I've also noted that it was interesting that they keep calling it Claire's Law, almost as a if you are going through this, there is a thing called Claire's Law. It's like they want the viewers to know what Claire's Law is.
Yes. Unfortunately, it relies on another woman having suffered at the hands of an abuser for it to actually work.
Indeed.
Not really great, but it's the best that we've got.
Right, so the Dangerous Dave storyline then. So David, Gail tries to talk to...
This week is just David, reckless and sort of brooding and self-destructive.
Basically. So he doesn't want to talk about Shona with Gail when she tries to converse with him there. But he does get talking to Imran about this divorce, though.
I just need to point something out. If Daniel ever wanted to have a good template for being a broody, self-destructive, interesting person, he couldn't find a better role model than David. Yeah. David makes Daniel look like a big old party animal.
He talks to Imran about this divorce, and Imran's like, well, you can't get divorced yet. You've only been married five months. We've got to wait till the first year's out. And I'd completely forgotten about that. No, they've had that in Coronation Street before. I'm sure there've been characters that have wanted to get divorced.
Almost every marriage ends with divorce as soon as possible.
Yeah,
first year.
I think it was when Nick and Leanne first got engaged in the late 90s. That's when I learned that law, because I don't think they lasted that long. But anyway, so that's interesting. And it's reassuring to me as well that they will hopefully be able to resolve this in the next 7 months or however long.
Makes sense that we haven't seen the end of Shona, we know, because she's on maternity leave.
Yeah.
She'll come back.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. It would be obvious to me that they might try and have a meeting or some kind of like, yeah, I know you want to divorce me, but we do need to have a face-to-face conversation about what's going to happen. Do you want a share of my assets, etc.?
Yeah, she's not in the right mental state to be able to have that yet.
No, but they will have to at some point have that conversation, which is a logical reason why. You can't just go to recuperate and divorce your husband from afar.
No.
After 5 months.
So David...
God, if only.
David gets an earful from Gail later because she finds out about him and Alina. I don't know what's taken her so long to discover this.
Trickle down.
And he's like, I can't be doing with this, Gail.
Well, Eileen tells Gail.
Yeah, Eileen's told Gail about exactly what's happened.
What?
Yeah. So David ends up going for a walk down some random road somewhere in Salford and ends up riling up some nasty yobbo grey hoodies.
Boo!
Who ends up pulling a knife on him. He's goading them.
He litters.
Yeah.
He throws litter on the ground and they're like, excuse me, do you know that there is a global warming crisis going on and plastic waste is one of the worst things that anyone can do? That bottle or whatever it was you just threw on the ground is going to end up choking a turtle to death and you don't even seem to care. So if you don't mind, we'll have to stab you in the face.
Yeah, so that was Monday's cliffhanger, which is again very, very
bit David Attenborough.
It felt, I'm like thinking if it had been, you know, a normal Monday double, it would have felt a bit of an artificial cliffhanger, a bit like, well, they've got to end it with something. But for, I've got to wait 48 hours to find out what happens now, do I? It suddenly became a lot more effective. So anyway, he manages to knee them in the ghoulies and run away. And we get a nice little chase scene as he's running through the streets. And there was one where he crosses a road and it's like filmed from afar, and then most of them follow after him, and then the need in the ghoulie one was lying and limps slowly behind. But I don't know where these roads were supposed to be, but it somehow manages to connect up to the end of Victoria Street anyway.
Runs through the car park, goes over the bridge.
And tell you what, Geoff has got some competition for Weatherfield's greatest magician. We already know that David is able to move a packet of crisps just by the power of his mind.
Yeah.
He's also able to teleport.
Yeah.
Because 1 minute he's there in Victoria Street, which is full of cars for the first time ever, and then when the car disappears, he's vanished.
The car drives past the spot that he was standing, and when it's gone, he's not there anymore.
Yeah, it's a classic disappearing trick from film. He's gone up the steps up the Red Bank.
Rana's ghost steps.
He has gone up Rana's ghost steps. Yeah, the Haley steps.
You didn't see anybody up there that was dead though.
As you know, it's like, ooh, and whatever as it was, it did make me think surely somebody would have seen or heard, because there were people coming at him from both directions, weren't there?
It was David being cool.
It was David being cool.
And we don't very often get suspension of disbelief in a soap to make a character just look cool for no reason. And it really was no reason here for David to be quite so cocky and cool about this. But it added a bit of pizzazz and drama, and if any character could do something like that, it's going to be Nick and David, because they're magical plats with amazing powers of misdirection.
Yeah, I think that Gail has got a bit of pixie in her.
She definitely has the air of that, doesn't she?
Anyway, David ends up coming home and he said, I'll just get it away. I wanted to get a bit of peace and quiet. And he just seems pretty chipper. He's there eating his takeaway, isn't he?
Well, again,
and he's pretty chuffed with himself.
Yeah, because he's sort of diced with death, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's had a bit of a thrill.
Yeah, this is what we said before. Like, he's trying to feel alive. He's doing anything he can. It doesn't really matter what emotion he's feeling, as long as he feels something other than just this kind of crushing.
This seems to be where the story is going, and it does.
Shona abandoning him.
It does very much feel in character for David. This self-destruction. He can use his. So sometimes he uses his powers of destruction to affect other people and destroy their lives, but he can do it just as well to himself. And Friday again, he starts off he's in a really good mood. He's still sort of buzzing, I think, from what happened on the other episodes, and he does like 8 before with Lily, where he gets her to hide under the table and then makes out.
And Gail thinks she's
Gail
gone.
thinks that she turned her back and Lily's disappeared and what have you. But
she's like, I'm going to get you back.
Yeah, Gail vows revenge, which she does attempt to do in the cafe later when he's there sitting with Alina. Gail rushes in and is like, David, your car's on fire. And David...
She looks really pleased with herself.
Yeah.
And she walks out and David's like...
And it was the most pathetic attempt at an April Fool.
I thought she did this so well.
Yeah.
And then she's like... Alina's there going, David, your car's on fire. And he's like, I don't even know who that woman is.
It was so Gail to come up with
so
such
David too. Yeah.
I just kind of...
Such a useless prank.
What I'd wanted was for the whole episode for Gail to be trying to make David fall for these increasingly unrealistic, unlikely, desperate attempts to get David to react. But sadly, this is all we got to see. But you never know, we might see a bit more of it on Monday. At one point, I thought, is this car going to be on fire? And it was
She just was so nonchalant about it as well. She's like, David, your car's on fire, and walks out again like she expects him to buy it.
Yeah,
brilliant.
But as he said, we have passed 12 o'clock now in Weatherfield Standard Time.
I know, but if you do it after 12, you're the fool. But it was Gail, so
it was buffoon Gail, wasn't it?
So
yeah,
what's she got to lose? Nothing.
Gail of old wouldn't have done this, but I mean, stupid Gail.
You've got to take what you got.
Yeah.
So David and Alina are chatting.
Yeah, David's just trying to apologise for... He just tells her he used her, basically. Sorry about that. I just wanted to, with everything that was going on with Shona. And then in the end of the episode, he gets into a confrontation with a very tall man outside of the tram stop. He's just kind of standing there, purposefully kind of bumping into this guy who...
He walks in the way of him, and this guy's like a head taller than he is.
He reminded me of the Hound from Games of Thrones.
He spits the chicken out.
Yeah.
So
David's just like, yeah, so what? Maybe
I was. So what do you do about it? Like, he's trying to pick another fight so he can run around. David, you can go running without being chased. You can download the Zombies Run because they have zombie chases in that. It's quite fun.
So
So the hilarious part about that scene.
Yeah.
So the tram stop there was full of people coming in and out, but actually, the hallway that is attached to the tram stop goes around a corner and there's literally nothing there.
It's like a little tiled cupboard, isn't it? You could fit about 3 people in it. So the people
like a metre square, if not smaller than that.
So all the people we saw going in and out of there were
like getting very intimate.
It was like a game of sardines inside the set. Yeah, I'm enjoying this angle. I would say
the angle of the crowded tram stop.
I'm enjoying the angle that David is being a bit of a thrill seeker, and
I really love Danger Dave, as we call him. This is what the appeal of David's character is. He's like sardonic, self-destructive,
unpredictable,
energetic, yes, predictable, an agent of chaos in his own life and others, as you pointed out. This is why he's a lot more engaging to me than Daniel. Daniel just sits and writes a poem about how sad he is and sort of whips his hair out of his eyes and listens to this crying of a baby.
Goes and punches a wall every now and then.
But this is proper drama. This is a guy out of control.
Yeah.
And we know how far he's gone before.
Yeah.
And we can only imagine what he'd end up doing.
Yeah, and although he's got a big family around him with the Platts, like he's a lone wolf, isn't he?
How much support is he really getting?
Gail can't do anything to help. She's just there, bat her eyelids at him and go, "Oh, David." And
Audrey doesn't care. Sarah doesn't care.
No, Sarah.
Bethany's gone.
Well, it seems like ages. How long's this honeymoon that Sarah and Adam have gone on? Nick's really the only other person that can make a connection with David, I think.
But even that, so much has happened between those two. It's given them a stronger connection in some ways because they've been through so much together, and it's like they're like enemies and best friends and brothers all in one.
It does just kind of feel to me that, I don't know, is it just predictable that he's going to end up doing this and then he will get hurt, and then David, and then Gail will, she'll be, "Oh, David," and then he'll realise...
It's more likely Max and Lily will be the ones that bring him round.
Yeah, but...
Because before, when he's done this, he's not had dependents, or he's had somebody else that can take care of them, whereas the Max and Lily don't really have anybody.
I suppose so, if he realises that if he carries this on, his kids could be parentless. That might be what...
that's a bit dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah. I like the scene with the knife on Monday because I wasn't expecting that. When they flicked the knife, I was like, oh, this has suddenly got a lot more exciting. But apparently there were 8 people that complained to Ofcom about that scene.
Why didn't they complain about him dropping litter?
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just that scene in general. I don't know. Yeah, so that all exciting stuff there.
Yeah.
Not not huge strides forward in plot. He was self-destructive last week, and he is a bit more self-destructive this week. But it had some good scenes in, and obviously Jack P. Shepherd, master actor. always enjoy watching him.
And Master Thesp.
So what's the aberration that's the separation?
I just
going
felt
on
like I really liked the Emma, Alina, and Seb love triangle, and now it's just passed into Dullville for me.
Nothing really happened here this week. Emma's mopey.
On Monday, Seb ventures back to see Emma. He doesn't want to talk to him. She's in a bad mood. He tries to explain himself because he didn't want Alina to get hurt, and she says, you're in the last chance saloon. So then Seb tells Alina the same he told Emma earlier, and says, can you reassure Emma there's something going on between us? And she says, I'm not really happy about getting involved in your problems. And they have a bit of an argument, and Emma walks in on them talking about Alina moving out, and she gets fed up with all this tension, and so she dumps him and moves out, doesn't she? She moves into number one with Steve, Amy, and Tracy.
She does at the end. That's at the end of Wednesday's episode. She dumps him at the end of Monday, and then.
This was one episode.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
So Steve and Amy are like trying to decide what to do this afternoon. They have a film night in the end. Seb tries to give Emma chocolates to smooth things over, and she says, I'm moving out, and then she does. She turns up at number one, joins in with film night, and the precarious, creaky little...
Oh my gosh, yeah, that sofa
made for... They've got a sofa like we do, which is 2.5-seater, which just means two people...
It just looks like an antique.
Can stretch out a bit.
Oh,
when she sat down in it was like...
It is honestly, it looks like the least comfortable sofa ever.
It does look like one of those ones that literally is just wood with a bit of foam and then upholstery over the top, rather than a lovely comfy one like your modern one you'd have.
Well, they need to redecorate, don't they?
They had redecorated some, didn't they?
They put some photos up. We had a different angle.
It looked a bit odd.
It looked really odd.
We got to see the far wall that normally is the third wall that we watch people from.
Yeah. And
we got to see like the cupboard in the wall and...
Yeah, but the decor was still the same. The dresser had gone, but it was still very, 1970s, 1980s wallpaper, just with a few modern pictures put on.
No, that floral wallpaper is newer than you think.
Well, it looks like it comes from a long time ago.
No, because you don't have any fashion sense style, knowledge of interior decorating. It's horrible.
And the photos clashed with it.
No, yes, I agree with that. It would be fine in a bigger room.
Or on
a feature wall, even though feature walls I think are passé now.
I hope that they do change it. I don't want this to turn into another Tyrone and Fizz's house situation, which is just a shrine to the duck worship, which I don't mind.
Like hybrid, like what's that word? Wait, chimera, like a mixture of things, like kill me, I'm a melange of horrible decorating ideas.
I know a lot of people don't like that there's still Jack and Vera stuff in Tyrone and Fizz's, but I don't mind at all. But they don't need to do it for number one. They need to freshen it up like they've done for number 3. They've removed all trace of Emily from there, and it's their own place now. And Steve and Amy need to do something, and I'm hoping that this is just a halfway measure, putting these photos up
with number one.
That's true.
End up being back in Ken's hands by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I don't really think of number one as being Tracy, Steve, and Amy's final home at all. I think they're just squatting until Ken gets kicked out.
Well, yeah, if he keeps up the way he's going at the moment. This is the first time that we've seen them together, that being, their house, haven't we?
Yes, that's true. On Friday, again, to remind you, it's April Fool's Day, and Tracy is sitting there. It took me a while to work out what she had on her head.
It don't look like she had like a meringue on her head.
It looked to me like she was wearing some kind of bizarre fascinator with like a big foam rose. And I thought, is she trying to advertise roses by having a big foam rose on her head? No, Steve had sneakily put shaving foam on her head and just making sure that nobody told her about it. I was feeling a bit sad. Tracy gets her revenge by getting foam all over Steve's head, and then later when Emma comes in, she's like, "Oh, you got foam on your head," and he's like, "It's afternoon, so it doesn't count." Like, okay, Steve, it's still on your head. Tracy wants to go away for a few days. She wants to go up to Scotland so she can see Daniel and Beth.
Oh, yeah, Beth. How long have they been on this grief retreat now? It feels like it's been too long.
Feels like a long time.
Daniel can take as long as he needs to grieve, but why is Beth still there?
It makes no sense.
We think that she's on the ice at the moment.
Yeah, right.
She is dancing on ice up in Scotland.
I thought you were going to say she's on the game. Like, she's like, oh, I can join the escort agency and like, go to Scotland, so I'd have to meet up with Geoff.
If she goes to the escort agency, Yasmeen can use her as an inside agent.
Plus, 255 quid for a 3-hour job. That's nothing to sniff at.
She needs to start talking to Leanne, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Because
she was called Rachel, wasn't she?
She might have been, actually.
I think it's just what you get called. I think it's just like...
That might well have been Leanne's prostitute name, Rachel. That rings a bell. Obviously, somebody at Coronation Street has got it in for Rachel.
Somebody knows a Rachel from school and they're like, you bitch, I'm going to make sure you suffer. Nobody on Coronation Street called Rachel's ever going to have a good time.
And Yasmeen and Leanne are kind of family, or they have been in the past as well.
Well, when Leanne joined the Nazir family very briefly before she blew Cal up. One of the major sticking points was that she was an ex-prosy.
Yeah, very true.
But it was Zidane that had the major problem with it. But luckily she's not invited to his wedding, even though they bonded so nicely after Cal died. Do you remember that? And she's not even invited.
No.
Does she even know it's happening?
No.
Gosh. It's all coming out of the woodwork now. Anyway, so the Tracy and Steve and all that lot are going to bugger off to
Amy's
Scotland.
going. So is Emma being left at number 1 on her own?
Well, yeah, Steve was originally worried about leaving her there by herself, but they don't really care because they're not paying for her to go to Scotland.
Yeah. I've seen a spoiler for next week, and I think that I might be able to piece together some ideas about how it's going to happen and the circumstances around which it's going to happen. I don't want to speculate too much about what's going to happen here.
Oh.
So I don't know whether you have any theories about Emma being left alone at number 1.
I didn't even think twice about it. What could possibly happen? She gets haunted by Blanche's ghost.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Albert Tatlock turns up to sort of move a few cups around.
Yep.
Okay, good.
Pat Phelan comes back to finish off the kitchen at last.
Yeah, sorry guys, I've been busy.
Well, you just have to wait and see, and I'll see whether my theory is right. I'm sure you can find out by looking at a TV guide. I've just seen... anyway, let's move on to the winter blues. Again, not a whole lot happened here.
Will you stop? Every single story that isn't the main one, you go, not very much happened. Not everything...
I need to get used to the fact that with some stories, not very much will happen when there's only 3 half-an-hours a week, although that used to be the way it was always when I started watching it. Anyway, 3 half-an-hours a week. So Alad's hearing aids are going to come tomorrow, we find out on Monday, and Gemma's pretty chuffed that he's going to be able to hear her at last. Kathy offers to Chesney to go in and check on Gemma later to help her out, and Alex is going to go along too. So they pop over on Wednesday's episode to help her out with the quadrangling.
Well, Kathy's a bit suspicious of Bernie's motivations about coming back to look after Gemma in her hour of need. She's not really sure.
But Bernie is honestly, Bernie's working her socks off, isn't she? She has turned the corner. She's being good mum at the moment.
This is the trouble. Even as a woman, women's work is so often invisible that you take it for granted. Kathy knows how hard Gemma's working, but somehow she still doesn't really quite buy that Bernie's working that hard, even though she knows there are still 4 babies in that house. And just because 2 people are working on it instead of 1 person, it's still 2 babies per person. And so she just kind of, again, just overlooking all of the invisible work that goes behind keeping a house up and running, all the cooking, the cleaning and the washing. Every time you see that set, there's always baby grows drying on a rack.
Well, Gemma gets rid of Kathy and Alex in the end because she's just fed up with all these people under her feet. Again, she wants to prove that she can do this by herself. Yes. From tonight's episode, Friday's episode, we get the hearing aid fitting scene. Gemma finds out from Chesney that Bernie was trying to get Ches to go on his own just to try and take some of the stress off of Gemma. And
she said she's knackered, she needs to rest.
Yeah. And I thought it was a very cute scene where they had the hearing aid fixed to Alad's ears and he can hear her. Yes,
they did a good job. I'm sure we've all seen these really heartwarming tear-jerky videos on the internet of the babies you can hear for the first time. It is very heartwarming.
I'm starting to wonder whether we're getting a bit broody with this, you know, Gemma, because we found some of Bertie quite cute in recent months, haven't we? Have babies suddenly become cute to us, or have they just got a couple of very cute babies?
I don't think I've ever thought babies aren't cute, 'cause some of them are really cute, but some of them are horrific. But no matter how cute a baby is, unless it's bringing a wage in, there's no room in the house for it.
Well, I mean, they'll be able to be the Weatherfield 4 when they grow up, won't they? They'll be celebrities, they'll be famous.
Yeah. Well, like you say, it was a very sweet scene, because the baby does react to Chesney talking to him, and he also does the thing where he sort of tickles the baby's cheek, which is quite cute, quite nice. The baby's cheek is quite nice when they're not spitty.
Chesney's is proper chuffed by this, but Gemma is just zoned out. She's not reacting at all.
The thing is, Chesney spoke to Aled, and he reacted and smiled. And when Gemma spoke to him, there wasn't really an obvious reaction, and I don't know whether that was on purpose, but I'm starting to think
you might be right.
that Gemma is now going to get paranoid that Aled doesn't like her voice.
Rejecting her. Understandable.
Oh my God.
Back at home, Bernie can tell that something's not right with Gemma, but Gemma's like, no, I'm fine. In fact, I don't even need you anymore. You can go if you want, Mum.
Well, it's very good, because the way that Matt Hilton directed the scene, you had Chesney and Bernie opposite side of the table talking to each other, and we were actually seeing the back of Gemma's head to sort of demonstrate her isolation, and sort of, we don't know what she's thinking because we can't even see her face. We just know that she feels rejected and isolated. And then the next time we see her, she's by herself in the shot, but her head is very to the edge of the picture, and no one else is in the scene with her. So it's like she's there by herself again.
Yeah. But she's not saying that to her mum, is she? She's saying you go, because she's worried that I think she thinks she is on the verge of a breakdown, and she knows that if Bernie catches her breaking down, she's going to tell Chesney, she's going to take her to Gadas again, and she needs to crumble on her own.
Well, it feels to me like she was viewing Aled's hearing aid fitting as a kind of finish line. Like, you have to get to this point. You have to get to Aled's hearing aid appointment, and once he can hear, everything will be okay. Everything's going to be fine. Once we get that hearing aid in, he won't be deaf anymore. All the things that I've done wrong, the fact that I carried him and he came out deaf is my fault. But that the thing that I've done wrong, it's obviously not what I think, but I think that's what Gemma thinks. Then everything will be fine. And then in that moment, when he got the hearing aid and she looked into his eyes, she realised that that wasn't the end. She's got to carry on beyond that, and she kind of doesn't really. I don't think she's got the emotional energy anymore.
No,
she's kind of drained now, because she was building up to this moment, and she got to that moment, and it really did not have the same impact that she thought it would have. And there's nothing left in the tank. That's it now. She's just in a daze, like a zombie, trying to navigate all this terrible pressure that she's still under.
Yeah. So it was all right this week, wasn't it? That story. I thought that the Alex and Kathy stuff was not particularly necessary. I suppose it's just showing that Gemma is rejecting everybody, but it did just kind of make me think that Kathy needs to get her own story. She's just a bit of a busybody, isn't she? Get poking her nose into this, poking her nose into Yasmeen. It's because they're not giving her something else to do. And that the argument that Geoff and Alex were having about the baps and the balms were like it's a bit of a cliche scone scone sort of situation, wasn't it?
There's so many other words than baps and balms, thow.
I know. I don't call it either.
Your dad, and you call it
I don't call it batch.
Well, your dad calls it batches.
I didn't think that was particularly necessary in the stuff with Alex speaking. Was he speaking Spanish or whatever?
I don't know.
They should have involved him in the Yasmeen story there. Maybe have Alex phoning up the hotel saying,
yeah,
hola. Por favor, has Geoff booked an hotel? Right, that was that. And then we had the Stillwater Carry On, which wasn't even involved in today's episode, was it? We just had a bit on Monday and Wednesday.
So Ken was outraged last week to find that he'd been fined by Charles an extortionate amount of money for professional carpet cleaners after Eccles did a whittle on the floor. So he then sees the person who's been tasked to clean the urine stain, and it's actually just a normal cleaner using a rolled up piece of cloth. And Ken was like going, but I paid for a professional and professional equipment and stuff. And the cleaner's like, yeah, whatever. Like, he obviously, the guy who works there is obviously disgruntled and been treated badly and gets rubbish equipment and stuff. Where's all the money going? Charles is funneling money from Stillwater's into something else.
Well, Norris tells Ken later about Charles and says, well, he's always fining people and the money's supposedly going into a maintenance fund, but nobody's ever seen hide nor hair of this.
To be fair, that looks like a very expensive building to keep up. It's a stately home, and you're not going to see all the problems are going to be lurking beneath the surface.
I want Ken to break his way into the penthouse at Stillwater's and find Charles's luxury apartment at the top there. I don't know, maybe he's got a visit by Rachel.
Him and
Rachel goes and visits on Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays.
I know what it is.
What?
What's Evelyn's boyfriend called again?
Arthur.
Arthur and Charles are actually serial killers who have like a torture dungeon in the basement, and they have to keep buying equipment for it.
Yes.
For all the people that they're murdering, and lots of
that's the only explanation.
Lie and things to dispose of bodies. I can't think of any other reason.
Unless
they're really into shoes.
I hope we find out where all this money's going.
It's just going to be something boring, like he buys cravats.
I don't want it to be boring. I want there to be some kind of massive scandal about where all this funding is going to. Because the story is clearly going to have Charles ending up with egg on his face. Whether that'll be
Ken and Norris triumphantly
exactly
exposing his dastardly deeds, like an episode of Scooby-Doo where we find out it was actually the fairground owner who was the ghost all along.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want that to be the end because it seems somewhat predictable.
I don't care, I like it. I like a little caper.
It did seem on Wednesday's episode that there's possibly going to be some kind of election coming up, doesn't there?
That's right. So Ken's saying to Charles, I want this rule book off you to see where all the fines are. This list of fines that I'm supposedly up on, agreed to pay in the event that my dog wees on the floor. And Charles is like, no, we don't have those anymore. We're getting new ones printed off. The old ones, I've got rid of them all. And Ken's like, well, why are you? So you've been in charge for 7 years, and maybe it's time for an election. How about that? And Charles is like, bring it on. I don't even care.
He didn't seem bothered at all.
Well, he had his little harem of like ladies on the sofa all going, oh, Charles is so wonderful and in charge of everything, so manly, didn't he? He had this like enthralled
so we're gonna have Ken standing against Charles in the election then.
It's a bit like Mean Girls, isn't it?
You know more of that film than me.
I don't think they had an election, but it does feel like any high school drama where they're like, the new girl comes in, she's like, oh, the queen bee, well, I'm going to prove to everybody that being mean is no way to live your life, and you should be nice to everybody, and it's a Disney film, let's have a song.
Do you think that like everybody really is scared of Charles, and whenever anyone sees them sucking up to him, they're just, that's the front that they're putting on, and then when it comes down to the vote, everyone will vote for Ken because...
Well, I'm sure what will happen is people will keep going to Ken like, oh, I'm voting for you, Ken. Charles is a tyrant. I hate him. And then it comes to the election day and Charles mysteriously wins by a landslide because he's like the Putin of Stillwater's and he like rigs the elections, allegedly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can see that happening.
I don't really want Ken to win the election because it just feels like the story would be over too neatly if that happens. I want Ken to think he's going to win. Yeah, Charles actually triumphs, and then Ken has to
find all the ballot papers
further
in a pile of dog wee under the radiator.
Yeah, sniff them out.
Well, Charles is the one that can do that.
I did think it was bizarre that there is no rule book. I mean, Charles is obviously making this up.
Yeah.
The rule book isn't out to print or whatever. But why isn't there in this really swanky, expensive retirement home? Why is there no website with an electronic rule book on? Why was there no rules that Ken would have had to have read and signed.
You think everybody
before
would have had a copy in their room?
Yeah, exactly. When you go to a hotel or to an
Or
Airbnb,
even when we were in halls of residence, we had the book of like what you're allowed to do, like don't drink alcohol in your rooms.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get in trouble. You've got to have a TV license.
Is it just because they're all old and they don't know how the internet works that there's no digital version?
That's probably why, yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, so I don't really believe that, but
Doesn't really matter.
It doesn't really matter. All fun stuff.
I enjoyed this week. I thought it was a really good week.
I thought it was quite good. I mean, the Seb and Emma stuff, like you said, was a bit of a not much happening. That was a bit of a weak point.
And now I don't care what happens
and I'm
it seems
still
obvious that Seb and Alina are going to get together. And I'm finding Alina very dull since she came back, which I don't like to say, but she used to be intriguing and mysterious, and now she's just a girl who claims she's interesting.
She's got her mojo back a little bit.
She's trying to tell David, I used to be interesting and I used to say horrible things to people and be fun. It's like, that was Becky. I used to be fiery and get into arguments with people. That was Becky, and we already had that character, so find another one. Find another person.
I like her, but she's not grabbing me as much as she did.
I like her, but she needs more than just being a side piece in a love triangle between two.
Yeah, the whole love triangle aspect is like...
It's played out now. It was fine for a little bit and I was enjoying it, but now I don't care.
Yeah, it's moving too slowly, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And the Gemma stuff I could have done without. The hearing aid stuff was cute, but it's just like, whatever. Mm. But the main draw of the week, the Yasmeen and Geoff story, did not disappoint whatsoever.
Well, the David stuff I enjoyed because it felt like David the rebel's back again.
Yeah.
And I also like the Stillwater stuff with this nefarious Charles up to no good.
Yeah. So scores for just 3 episodes. It's a hard one. I haven't really thought about it so far. I don't think I could make it. I think I'm going to go 3.5 this week, just because it felt like there was a few stories that not much happened with, but I might have to get over that in future weeks. But yeah, I'm going to give it 3.5 7 thumbs out of 5 this week. And my character of the week, I think I'm going between David and Yasmeen at the moment with this one.
Let me tell you my score.
Again. Go on.
My score is 4 fake heart attacks, because I thought this was a really good week. I was engaged for most of it and enjoying it. And my character of the week is David, because, like I said, it was just... But it felt like a blast from the past. Like, David, when he was at his most villainous... And he's never really... He's only ever really self-destructive, or Gail should watch out for the stairs. He's only ever really bothersome to other plats and himself, isn't he?
Apart from that time that he took the crowbar and smashed up the whole street.
Yeah, I know, that was fun though, wasn't it? It reminded me of that, Tearaway David.
Yeah.
I really enjoy how complex David is.
He needs a tender touch of a loving woman to calm him back down again, but she's up in Leeds.
For a while, I'm afraid. She still hasn't quite got the hang of the old animal name quiz, I hear.
I'd forgotten about that. I will... I'm gonna give it to Yasmeen, only because I'm feeling that she is, she's there. She's suspicious.
Putting it all together.
She's putting it together. She's standing up to Geoff a few times now. She's being brave and standing up to him more and more than she would do. And yes, sometimes she's backing down, and he's able to twist it back around his finger again. But I'm still kind of thinking that she's acting like she's doing what he wants her to do. I think that she's trying to escape. I think that she's
it's chipping away,
his
isn't
true
it?
colours.
Every time he says something that doesn't quite add up, it chips away a little bit at her belief in him. Yeah, and she's not backing down quite so easily. Like when he was trying to stop her going to Spain, like a few months ago, Yasmeen would have gone, "Oh, Geoff, I'm sorry. Of course I won't leave you." Yeah, but now she's like, "I'm going. Get off my bag."